Avengers Assemble. What's up everyone? I'm back and I finally decided it's time to talk about another video game, Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3. For those who haven't beaten it, don't worry, it's a spoiler-free discussion. I've already completed the game, and boy, I'm excited to talk about it. Before we get into the discussion, don't forget, hit that sub button, drop a like, and leave some comments down below. With that being said, Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3 is a love letter to Marvel fans. Yes, there's a few problems, however, it's a fantastic game. The game isn't perfect, but in the summer of 2019, where we've had such a roller coaster of emotions because of the MCU, this game just adds to it. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3, note, from this point on, I'm just gonna say MOA 3 to shorten things a bit, couldn't have come at a better time. MOA 3 is what you could call a follow-up to the summer that already has been giving us both Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home. MOA 3 is a self-contained story that is about bringing together various Marvel characters to, of course, assemble an alliance together. These Marvel characters have to take down the Black Order and of course stop the most relevant movie villain out there right now, Thanos. MOA 3 takes everything you're familiar with as a Marvel fan and puts it into this package of a game. Let's get one thing out of the way. The camera is terrible. There are moments where the camera will hiccup and will be laughably bad. It's probably the weakest part of the game, even when the story may not really have you fully invested because you're having way too much picking your team of 4 heroes and beating things up. From what I've read, the camera has a tendency to mess up way more when you're playing on a local co-op than single player. Throughout my run, the camera did hiccup a few times, but not enough to ruin the fun of the game, and that's all I cared about. While we're talking about the negatives of this game, I want to point out that the art style of the game may not be for everyone. In my experience, it took me a good 5 to 10 minutes and then I got used to it. It's more of a to each their own type of thing where some people may love it while others may hate it. Another negative from what I've seen is that in the game, especially in handheld mode, it does drop from 30 frames per second to about 19 or so. These numbers come from Digital Foundry's video, which I'll leave a link to that in the description. It's a fantastic video and honestly their channel is a must watch for any gamer. However, so let's get back to the positive. MOA 3 takes the Infinity Saga, which Marvel fans are already invested in because of the last year between Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, and it puts its own twist to it. Like I said, I'd rather not spoil anything, but yes, the game is basically about the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet. There's a twist in everything, so it's not the same exact story that we know from the MCU movies. But by now, if you're a Marvel fan, you should be acquainted to all of this. The combat is super addicting. The combat is button mashing, seeing the chaotic extreme moves being used in a satisfying way. If you're someone who's super worried about frames, yes, the extreme moves make the frames drop. However, when your entire team is using their moves, it's back to being fine. If you aren't someone who cares all that much about the frames, you're just going to be satisfied watching all of these characters that you know and love using their abilities in one large action-packed sequence. Along with that, I want to mention that unlocking characters is always fun. It's always great seeing heroes we've grown to know and love pop up in a cutscene with some clever subtitle under their name each and every time. It nails the Smash-esque joins the battle phrase in its own way. It's also satisfying putting together a team and being able to switch members in and out of order to form your favorite team. For example, I used Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, and Spider-Man almost the entire game, and even then, I didn't really switch out that often. I even have the intention of going back and leveling other characters since I bought the season pass for the game. Speaking of which, we already know we're getting Cyclops and Colossus on August 30th, and we know more about who's coming in the future, such as Fantastic Four and more X-Men characters. Speaking of going back to the game, throughout the story you unlock something called Infinity Rifts. Infinity Rifts are basically mini missions that you can mostly complete with your full team. However, some missions will require you to use a specific character. These missions give you awards such as cosmetics and such to help you grind throughout this game. If you're someone such as myself and you'd rather do some of it while doing the story to use it to grind up your characters and save the rest for post-story mode completion, you're gonna have fun. Infinity Rifts are the reason why I still play this game despite major releases throughout the summer on the Switch such as Fire Emblem. I have a review for that which I'll also leave in the link in the description. Believe it or not, there's some sort of specialness or magic to these Infinity Rifts. You don't have to complete them, nor does it make you feel obligated to do them, but there's also something else to do. I do want to point out that there are 4 unlockable characters locked behind 4 separate Infinity Rift missions. So if you're someone who wants to get every single character, just know you're gonna have to do extra grinding to have the full roster of characters unlocked. Also, there is an Infinity Rift that allows you to grind and gain levels fairly easily. So I thought I'd mention this for anyone who's curious about gaining levels or maintaining the entire roster. There's a level in the first Infinity Rift titled Rush. Essentially, it's a time mission where you need to beat 30 enemies in the Avengers Tower. Your extreme meter goes up fairly quickly, and as a team, you end up being able to use your extreme moves multiple times. This will clear the small corner that this mission takes place in, and you can repeat it over and over. It's a small tidbit of information, but I thought it'd be worth mentioning to anyone that watches this and wants tips to how to level their characters if they're struggling in the game. Now, with all of that being said, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is a great game. It's worth the $60. You get a very well-rounded story that still manages to keep you pushing through the story. Sure, the overall story isn't all that important because you're just so used to beating people up to get to the next point, but a good story is still within this game. You also have post-game content in order to unlock story characters in these Infinity Rifts like I mentioned, so that's another reason to keep going back to the game. So, if you're a Marvel fan, get this. If you're a fan of beat 'em ups, get this. If you're a fan of comics, get this. This game is also welcoming to those who aren't invested in things such as the MCU or comics, so I'd still recommend it. I would just be wary of the game's biggest issue, the camera. So if you're looking to play this as a multiplayer game, I'd wait to find out if the camera gets fixed in a post-game patch. But that doesn't stop this game from being a gem and being worth it to any of the Marvel fans out there in the world who are trying to gather the Infinity Stones to stop Thanos. Remember, whatever it takes. If you enjoyed this video discussion, please leave a like and hit that sub button. Also, feel free to join the community by joining our Discord, which will be in the description. As always, if you ever find the answer to why we're here, let me know in the comments. Peace!